Welcome to the Speakeasy Podcast. This is a special episode. It's a topic that Kayman and I want to talk about for a while, especially Kayman. It's one of his favorite series of all time, and I'm here to take the ride with him and interject my stupidity with it. We're not doing the typical show layout when it comes to movies and music. We're talking about one series, and it's the current 2016 to Doom Eternal and Doom the Dark Ages. Mm-hmm. And I'm your host, Bill Voigt.
And I'm your second host, Kayman Hernandez.
And this is going to be an exciting special episode. This is not episode 11, everybody. This is just a special edition episode that we're going to talk about dumb stuff that we enjoy. I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Sean Gould for donating some cigars to us. We're excited to smoke them today.
That's fucking
Los Calaveras is what they're called, and we appreciate the donation.
Still crazy that we have donated cigars. That's really cool.
Well, cigar people are very passionate.
Very appreciative.
So I'm going to start mine up right now.
Yeah, I'm
excited.
Let's light this shit
and then we'll
up.
get on to the first part of our episode.
All right.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Hope everybody's also having a wonderful day.
It is hot, 86 degrees here.
Oh, yeah, son. Ooh. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do I know? Do I taste notes of cinnamon? No, because I'm not sophisticated. Okay, but it tastes delicious.
It is very good. Thank you for the donation. It's very kind of you to donate some cigars to us.
Figured special donation.
And on the special episode, too. Special edition.
Well, let's kick it off, Kayman. Let's talk.
Well, we're going to open it up with the first segment here, and that's going to be with Doom 2016. So 2016 is the beginning of the new, we'll call it the new franchise for Doom.
The next era.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about the originals just yet because I feel like we want to use that as another special episode to where we talk about the legacy and those games as a whole, just in general. But we're going to start it off with Doom 2016 here. So for anybody that doesn't remember, back in 2016, every first-person shooter that was coming out kind of felt samey, kind of felt multiplayer-driven, was that kind of like...
It was Call of Duty, it was Battlefield.
And we did have Titanfall, which was a fantastic game, well, specifically Titanfall 2, which was a fantastic game that we've talked about in the past. But Doom 2016 really set a bar for first-person shooters at that period.
For a while, the only real popular first-person shooter series that had like a campaign, if you will, and a story was Halo.
Yeah.
And in 2016, there wasn't much Halo.
Was it Halo 4 that was out at that point?
Halo 4 or 5, for sure. I mean...
I think it was 5. Because I think that was the period when that whole campaign was...
Well, I can check it out right now. We'll figure it out. But go ahead and continue talking about 2016 there, bud.
Well, like you were saying, that all of these games didn't really focus on having, single-player experiences. They were all focused on having multiplayer experiences in terms of, like, we think about, like, Titanfall 2 or Battlefield being, you have these classes, you have these characters, you're just fighting PvP, and Doom 2016 really came out and blew the waters. Okay, so it was Halo 5?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Correct.
I was correct, yeah. And that's also another thing that added to it, too, because the campaign for that, nobody really liked it at all. And that was just another thing for Halo's fault,
Yep.
C343 Industries and stuff. But...
was Halo 5 the one that, to get on top side, was that the one where you had the two different campaigns?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, where it was Locke, and then it was also Master Chief, and then they were conflicting, and it was supposed to be this awesome battle, and then it was like 4 seconds of a cutscene.
So, not to 2016 Doom, or we'll just call it Doom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is just called Doom.
I felt like it was one of the first games that had come out in a long time where you felt like an absolute badass. Like Halo, like Master Chief, you were kind of a badass in Halo 1, but Master Chief never felt like an actual badass because he didn't set himself apart from the soldiers and the elites. Like, the elites weren't terribly scared of him, only the little guys were, the grunts. In Doom...
Well, I mean,
in Doom, you were ripping guys' heads off, dude. And
in lore, they call Master Chief Demon, with the Covenant.
Right, but in a lot of the older stuff, in some of the written material, he was a lot more Doom Slayer-esque.
Yeah, he was more lethal. It felt like,
and he had more, like, he did more cool superhuman stuff. Whereas in Doom 2016, I feel like you got to experience that.
The power fantasy.
Yeah, like dude, the glory kills, dude. Like, I fucking love the glory kills, dude. Ripping dudes in half, you know, tearing guys' heads off, you know, just, I don't know, stomping dudes on the ground. It was brutal, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the glory kills and talk about how much we love them in a bit. But I mean, like, you're correct. I mean, most of the other games was set about, you know, having this battle instead of it being, you know, this elite power fantasy. Like you said, Halo kind of slowly turned into just more PvP. More, I mean, because Halo 5 was very PvP centric.
The story in Halo became more emotional,
especially since 4.
Than heroic. You know what I mean? Whereas, like in Halo 1 and 2, it was like, you know, Master Chief would say one or two words and then jump off of a flying ship and blow something up, which was cool, you know. But then they tried to ground him a little bit and make him human. Whereas, like, the Doomslayer, he doesn't fucking care. Like, dude, he's one of the most brutal guys. Like,
he just really, really hates demons, and you know, as a person,
would that make him like all the phobics in today's society?
To hate a demon?
No, but to have that much hate?
I mean, maybe. I think it would more be that they would side with him, you know, because he has so much hate for everybody else, and they're all. But the only difference is that they're miserable, and he's having the time of his life. You know,
he doesn't smile a lot.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Even you look at the original sprites, like all he does is smile when he's killing demons.
Yeah, but he wasn't a god back then.
Yeah. I mean, Doom 2016 definitely.
He was more metal faced than he was anything. He was constantly. You know, I really think that you can't really see inside of his head. I wonder if he had like AirPods on. He was listening to Orbit Culture the whole time.
No, I always like to think that he was listening to caramel dancing in his helmet, you know, do 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 do, and he's ripping demons apart. Yeah, I mean, Doom 2016 came out at a time where everything felt the same with like that kind of human aspect, right? And here comes classic gameplay brought with like the most metal of metal feelings possible. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one of my favorite trailers that I still love to this day is the Raise Hell trailer that they did for Doom 2016.
The live action one, right?
Yeah.
That one's awesome.
Because it's fucking sick, you know? He's all running down the thing, and he's got the super shotgun, and you see it's showing bits and pieces of his armor that took damage from fights, and there's the CG demons and shit, and then he jumps off the cliff, and then he looks forward, and he's just panting, and it shows a cyber demon, and it's like trying to fight it and play, but it's like peak. It's like the peak at that era.
I really appreciated 2016's revamping the series because they added more story to it.
Yeah.
Like, I know you and I have said this before. Like, he's not much of a talker, and he leads a lot more through action.
He says one word in one game.
Yeah, and I like how, you know, like, they'll be talking to him, and he just walks up, and he'll just grab what
he just looks at you and violently grabs something.
Yeah, and then walks off. But the story is still there. You know, I liked the story in Doom 2016 a lot.
I think the story in 2016 was more complete compared to the other two, just in terms of like how it was presented.
Well, you know, it goes back to like, you know, how we talk about like some people don't like a certain, like the first of a movie, but then you look at, you know, that movie's kind of weak, but then you watch the sequel and they fill in a bunch of the holes, and it makes the first one a lot more tolerable because of the fact that you know that there's more story coming. I kind of feel like 2016 was like that. They said a lot, but they didn't say enough. Like you know, like we were talking earlier, like when you get into Hell in 2016, we were just talking about this. There's like cool audios of demons talking about the Doomslayer, and you're like, wait, hold on, this is like thousands of years ago. What the fuck are they talking about? And they don't ever tell you. They just kind of like, you're just kind of.
They're just like, head. He's like, oh yeah, this fucking dude just showed up and started fucking
killing
stabbing
everybody.
us.
And you know, later on, it was cool, right? Because it was like, oh, I want to know about that.
Right.
It would have been lame if they hadn't made Eternal and then onto the new series.
I mean, they gave you breadcrumbs.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing was that made it super fun was that with the breadcrumbs, they didn't like how Elden Ring and like FromSoft games do it. They don't just tell it up to you up front. They have you going and looking through like the codexes in Doom and stuff to like get more backstory and stuff like that.
What's cool about doing codex stuff like that? What I found that I like to do, and some people don't have don't want to do this, but I think it adds some replay value. In the retrospect of you want to play through and kind of get your first plate through, like you're eating a dinner, you're hungry, you want to eat, and then the second one you kind of take your time because you're kind of full. And you know everything now, so it's kind of like you go through a second playthrough, and you're a little bit better.
Pieces of, like, the dessert.
You know the levels a little bit more, you know the characters a little more. So now you can slow down and listen to the stories, and that almost makes you want to play through it a third time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, id Software has always been really good at collectathons like that and having bits and pieces for you to go and get.
That was the old school way of telling stories, though.
True.
I mean, the original Resident Evil, when it came out on PlayStation, they had, they made a big deal about Resident Evil because they had like actual, like cutscenes. Like obviously we you've seen the cheesy CG, but they did Resident Evil did that too a lot, where it was read. You read it and you made your own. It was in your own creativity that you envisioned in your mind what the story was, even though they do tell you things. And I think that's an old school approach to storytelling. They're not just holding your hand and showing you every cutscene.
They're taking you through the
you
adventure.
You read it and you're like, well, that's a fucked up story. Like this, whatever. And then you're like, that's crazy. And then.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about the Codex with Doom 2016 is always reading the different entries about the demons. So like the first entry is always like, oh, it's a deadly creature, blah blah, and then the second entry it's just talking about like some of the most horrific shit that you've ever seen before, in your life, and it's fun. It's that's like the key word that I think 2016 really brought back into gaming, other than a few exceptions with other games. Is classic campaign fun. And enjoyment from that. I mean, a lot of games were going definitely in the same path.
In the generation of say PS3 Sony was a big pusher of the story movie based.
Yeah.
The Uncharted's were the ones that changed everything, and everybody did it. Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty did it. Halo started doing it. Because in Halo 1, I mean, there's a cutscene in the beginning. And there's tiny little cutscenes here and there, but it's ultimately up to you to learn about stuff. And 2016 Doom does almost the same thing as Halo 1 in that retrospect, where you get a cool little cutscene, and then some kick-ass metal music kicks on, and then you're able to read or hear audio logs, and then continue with the story. Yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking about the cutscenes, right, and how, especially at that time, players were kind of accustomed to the expository long cutscene where you're being told what's going on and you can't do anything, and then Doom 2016 came out and it was just like, shut up. He literally shoves it away and it's like, I'm here to kill demons, like you can't fucking stop me. I mean, in terms of stuff like that too, I wanted to bring up and talk about how I showed you, I gave you the documentaries, the No Clip documentaries. I think everybody should go and watch it. About,
if you're interested in Doom, of course.
About the Doom 4 project and how they had a lot of difficulties on making that game, and how difficult and stressful it must have been when they were initially making this whole other game, and then it came out to be 2016.
That original Doom 4 whole thought process of it being like a human on Earth,
just a hell invasion on Earth.
My thought process on that shit is this. It's the same thing with the new God of War release of Faye. Nobody wants to play a regular dude. Everybody wants Doomslayer. Now, do I think it'd be fun to have that as a side story, a DLC that's 15 hours long? Absolutely.
Was gonna say.
It's just like Halo ODST. The ODST were the baddest of the bad of the human version of the Spartans. They were not... They were just humans in badass suits.
Yeah, the highly trained killers and shit.
I mean, they took a different take on the series when you played that game, but it was nowhere near like it was playing as a Master Chief.
Yeah.
And it's a slippery slope.
Especially after I played Doom Eternal and I finished it for the first time, I remember I was sitting there and I was watching the No Clip documentaries, and it's interesting because as much as I love Doom 2016 and how much it did for especially the gaming market and stuff, I wouldn't change it any other way. I do kind of also want what that original project was going to try to go for, just to have it being a spin-off game, not like a mainline title.
It would be a cool spin-off of a DLC.
But it wouldn't be, if they released that, it definitely would have been a different story. you know, for sure. It's mostly just now where I'm like, oh man, that is a cool concept. You know, we've had the uber power fantasy, so what kind of story would they be able to tell in this Doom universe, or in a separate Doom universe with that kind of stuff?
It would be a badass soldier. He'd run 15 blocks, and then a demon would kill him. The end.
It would be fun though. I would think it would be fun.
Well, I think if there's a series that you really enjoy, you always want extra, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, and there's definitely a part of that.
Will it be viable for them? I just don't. I don't know. You know, that's a rough.
It's
one
a very unknown space because we don't have it. We only have the snips and bits of that early project.
They only
that
released little tiny bits of like what it was supposed to be.
Which I highly recommend everybody go and watch the No Clip documentaries. But in the documentaries, they really talk about the struggles that they were having with that game and how it just didn't feel like what the fans would really want. And so at a certain point, after they were purchased by Bethesda, they went to them and they were basically like, hey, it's not working. We're just going to scrap it and restart. And thank God they did, because 2016 came out of the waters and it fucking punched everybody straight in the jaw and said, no, bitch, you're going to pay attention to me. And from there, it changed, you know. But I would like a Doom 4 project like that at some point as like a spin-off game. You know, even if it's not even like 15 hours, like I'm okay with like a 5-hour campaign of just like $20 or something, you know, just like original idea of Doom 4, you know.
Yeah, it'd be completely different gameplay.
Yeah, but it would be. I thought it looked cool.
The problem is that
afterwards
you couldn't play it like you do Doom.
No,
because a human isn't going to move like the Doom Slayer.
No,
you know,
60 miles per hour.
No, it just doesn't work. Like I said, when you played ODST, it was a slower paced fighting or shooting game than it was when you play as Master Chief. So, and I bring up Halo a lot because I think Halo was the second or third, maybe even fourth most influential first-person shooter with a single campaign.
For sure.
Because id Software was kind of killing it. You know, if you count just id Software's games, you had, you know, the original Wolfenstein, then you had Doom.
And even the remakes for the Wolfenstein games.
And then you had Quake. And then after that, you had Valve with Half-Life. You know, and then you have Halo. So... you know, fifth on the list, if you will, of most influential.
Yeah, I mean, they're. I think what the difference is like they're influential, but they're influential for different reasons, right? Like, Doom is the all-father to first-person shooters just because of what it's set, and then Half-Life is the all-father of...
Without Wolfenstein, you wouldn't have Doom.
True, but everybody goes back to Doom for it.
Because Doom was the more fleshed out version, and really, in my opinion, what I thought was great about Doom, the original Doom, and I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but it was the whole series, even the current ones that we're talking about, were influenced by Evil Dead, and that was the whole point. They threw the double barrel shotgun in the second one because you know they had to have Ash and something, you know. But and then that shotgun is the most popular gun in any fucking series.
It's just because it's fucking awesome. You just double barrel, boom, boom. You know.
Well, remember what? Okay, I watched that documentary, and you were and Doom Eternal. They were talking about how the double barrel would just obliterate everything. Right? They had to dumb it down.
Yeah.
In real life, if you're within 5 feet of somebody with a sawed-off shotgun, there is no upper body left.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to shoot.
It's the same way in Doom Eternal with the double barrel, because if you go up to an imp and you shoot it with the double barrel shotgun, it's going to die. It's mostly just, I think, the bigger enemies. You know,
bigger enemies though, you would tear off so much chunkage.
And you do tear off fucking fleshes and shit. Yeah. But we'll talk about Doom Eternal in a minute. But I mean, I have so much appreciation for what they did with Doom 2016, and I can only imagine how much stress they must have been under when they were developing it. And like in the documentaries, especially on the third episode, they talk about just how difficult it was to get the beginning of the game to go, because they were just like, how do we start it? And one of the things that's my favorite is they talk about you know, a lot of games kind of have to tell you why you're going to be doing things and like what's the motivation, and then they just all came up and they were just like, you're here to kill demons. Like, what do you mean? What? That's the motivation. Like, Hugo Martin, bless his soul, he was talking on one of the interviews, and he was talking about at one of the meetings, and they were talking about like what is his motivation? They were laughing about it because they would be like, oh, I don't know. They had this scene where it was setting it up, and it was like, oh, what do we think it is? Oh, and the other guy goes, oh, I think it's demons. And then they all laughed in the room, and it was like, yeah, because it's fucking stupid. We all know it's demons. We all know what we're here for. Let's just have fun with it. And that's all they took and ran with it, and thus created Doom 2016. I think the interesting part, looking over it as a whole now, is how grungy and very like metal album cover 2016 was compared to like Doom Eternal and Doom the Dark Ages.
Yep.
And just like the style of that was different compared to the other two. But they all always incorporated things from the old games. Like even Doom 3, as much as a lot of people don't like Doom 3, they incorporated a lot from Doom 3, being like the UAC stuff and like all of the technology and the designs. Well, you can just fucking suck
I was not a fan, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I like Doom 3 only in terms of just like the different stuff that it brought to the Doom franchise. But I understand why people were upset with it for sure.
So, I didn't like the graphics in Doom 3. Even when they came out, it seemed really weird to me. Like it was very blocky looking. It was very rough looking to me, and I also didn't like some of the weapons. Like I thought the shotgun was fucking stupid in that game.
I thought the shotgun sounded awesome.
I didn't say the sound. I said it should not.
Just the design.
It's a shotgun, dude. Everybody knows how shotguns work, and they didn't feel like it did any impact to creatures in that game. And the way that it
was kind of on that way on purpose because it was trying to go for the horror thing. And if you were just obliterating everything, it wouldn't be scary.
Doom, leave horror for the Resident Evil series or Silent Hill. I mean, the one thing that I think the biggest complaint that I heard, and I didn't like either, was the flashlight not being on the suit of a space marine. Like he was a space marine. Okay,
you're literally on Mars.
Yeah, and you have no flashlight. Like even space marines from Aliens had that, and then to have to pull out a flashlight like you're like 1985 and hold it up with your gun is absolutely stupid.
Well, we can get into that one because on the later episodes. Cause
I just wanted to bitch about it. Okay,
I get you. I'm just putting you back on track, motherfucker. Doom 3 has a place. Okay. It has a place in the history of Doom.
Suck.
But I know that I at least appreciate how much Doom 2016 took from the original games and brought it into a new light for these newer generations.
I know we'll be speaking about all three of the newer games, but I felt like in hindsight, the 2016's Doom was the most Doom of the three series. Of the three games.
Right.
It felt most like the original Doom games because it was, it was fast paced, but it wasn't like, Doom was never blazing fast. Even the old ones. I mean, everything seemed fast back then because you're almost like you're on a rail because the gun swayed.
Yeah.
And you turned really, it wasn't nearly as smooth as the newer games were. You
could also control it with the keyboard.
Yep. But even nowadays, FPSs are smoother in their motion, even with mouse and keyboard together.
I mean, we've come a long way from just 2D sprites on screens to full 3D.
I can't play the original Dooms anymore. It gives me a massive headache.
I wonder if we can get Brutal Doom to work with you.
I hope so,
because it'd be fun.
But like I said, 2016 was the most. It had the most. Rooted in original Doom.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've even told you about it. Like, they have the original levels like baked into the.
What's crazy is that that game's been out forever. And when you told me that, like last week, we're talking about it. We're coming up with stuff to talk about the episode. And when you told me that, I was like a dog in headlight. Like just like raise it, like my head was twisted.
What?
And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Because I got all the little dolls, and I thought I was cool. Getting all the cool extra bits, and then you're like, "No, it's totally playable. The original game levels." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here!" You know that I have to do. I have to reinstall it. And play.
Yeah. So like, you'd be running around the levels. You'd be killing fucking demons and shit. And there would be like secret levers that you would have to find on some of the levels. And when you would pull the levers, it would play the original Doom riff. The little MIDI file. And then it would, say secret level.
Didn't they do that when you found the little dolls too?
Yeah, it did. It was just the secret found.
That's cool. I love that
sound. And then you would have to go around, and then you would find like there's one in the factory level where you would when you would find the lever, you would jump down towards the lava pit, and there would be a spot, like a big square, and it would have the original textures and shit. It was kind of funky because they looked kind of brighter and kind of funkier, but you would go into it, and then it would be the whole level, but with the newer enemies and shit, and you could like literally go and find like armor pieces, same thing. And once you did that, because it was only a chunk of the level, you would go back to the main menu from your save file, and you would find Doom original levels, and you can click on it and play the entire original level
without even having to go in the game.
Yeah.
It was like an extra thing.
Yeah. And I remember, especially too, with like Snap Map, that was like one of my favorite things to do, was to make little secret areas and put the Doom, because they
Snap Map their level editor.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Which was awesome, and I really wish that we got it in more of their games, because it was such a cool system, because it was built into the game, and you could just make maps, and like people made like zombies maps and stuff, and you and 4 other buddies could literally hop in together and just be killing demons and like unlocking doors, like classic COD zombies and shit. And it was a really fun thing too. And a lot of people were making their own campaigns and all of these cool things, and some of them were like multiplayer maps too, where you'd just be fighting your friends and stuff. But I remember when I used it a lot, I would always make these. I loved survival-based stuff, waves, and then you'd just keep getting stronger and stronger, and then you'd find secrets, and there would be secrets in old school Doom level pieces, because they would section them out into little pieces, and you'd basically find this secret door, and then it would take you to an old school Doom level where you would find like the BFG or find something else, and then you and your buddies would be running around the whole map and fighting demons and shit.
Did the console versions have Snap Map?
Mm-hmm.
So I never knew that, because I only played through the campaign, and I knew there was multiplayer, but I never saw Snap Map on there, and I'm sure it was on there in front of my face, but I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, well, I don't even remember if the menus have changed a lot. It's been so long, but I remember it would have campaign, multiplayer, and then Snap Map, because they were all 3 separate things. And it was also at the time when, since they were 3 separate things and they were developed by 3 separate companies, multiplayer was its own executable. Campaign was its own executable, and then Snap Map was its own executable. So you would boot up the menu, and then you would click on one of them, and then it would relaunch a new instance of the game, basically, and then reload everything, and then get you prepared to go. But I don't know if it's changed now or not. I don't think it has, but it might have.
That's such a PC way of programming.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, but I mean, like, the game feels rooted in Doom, like you said. And especially with like all of the things, like each of the games have like a setting that you can turn on that makes it classic mode. Like you can restrict your HUD to literally be just the box with the fucking centered gun, and play it in the original way with just new graphics and stuff. And I think that Doom 2016 did that the best with just nostalgia, but like good nostalgia.
Yeah, I think too, when you have a player base and an influence that Doom has had, I think that
it doesn't feel like bait.
Well, the reason why they made it feel and be closer to the original Doom series is simply the fact that they are playing it safe, but not necessarily in a negative way. Because they definitely added a lot of cool things, and the game was its own, entity. But I think that it definitely felt like they were playing it safe to not step on too many toes, since the original concept 3 or 4 years prior to that was something of a completely different sidestep story. Like, it was so far out there with you playing as a human, kind of like it's a story paralleling the main story, as you're a human on Earth fighting your way through demons invading, and they were like, whoa, the Doom fans are going to fucking hate this.
This isn't right.
We need to make it more like the originals, and brought it to like I said, like more like an actual Doom game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating in my brain to see, because like I played a lot of Brutal Doom specifically, because I like fucking modding my games. It's just how I am sometimes. And Brutal Doom, for anybody that doesn't know, is an overhaul to the original Doom that makes it more bloody, more gory, more modern tech with like engine based stuff and like gameplay, and it has a shit ton of weapons to use. But it's just a fun game, and like I compared it a lot to 2016, especially at that time, when I was playing a lot of older stuff, and then I was still playing Doom 2016, and it felt very comparable to each other. I think the only thing that 2016 did the best compared to, for instance, Brutal Doom, is that it introduced, like we talked about, the glory kill system that just felt more raw, more powerful, and more what's the word, like engrossing into the game. It brought you into it more because you're just like, oh man, I fucking hate this demon, and then you see him rip an imp's rib cage open, and he's like, that's like the best part.
The glory kills are basically revenge kills.
Yeah, it's just
guy keeps kicking your ass. You're like, okay, fucker. and then you tear off her head.
How do you like your heart in your mouth?
Yep. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. And then when you would get like the berserk. And he would just see him just absolutely like. I think one of my favorite ones is when he grabs an imp's foot and just slams it on the ground. And he's just like, "Fuck you,"
Was that Doom Eternal or Doom 2016 where you punch a creature's head into its own body? It's like
that's Doom Eternal. Yeah, that's Doom Eternal.
I laughed so hard when I did that the first time. I was like,
I think Doom Eternal, and we'll talk about this when we get there. But it added more cartoonish elements to make it more fun than Doom 2016 did, because 2016 still felt more
serious,
more grounded.
Yeah. It was a little more. It took itself seriously a little more.
I think we made. We were talking about it. We made the best analogy for it was Doom 2016 is the muscle car, and then Doom Eternal is the jet airplane, and then Doom the Dark Ages is the fucking Panzer tank.
Yep.
Just in terms of how they feel and how they play.
Yep, how they feel and how they play.
But I mean, like, let's talk about like how the glory kills had like an impact in the market, because I mean, like, Doom 2016 as a whole changed how first-person shooters were going to be a little bit.
Anybody who knows me knows I have a bit of a temper. And the Doomslayer definitely helps me vent some of that. Like, I used to get to a point where I'd be getting my ass kicked in Doom 2016. And when I'd glory kill, my wife had to hear me say this by 5 million times, is I'd be like killing a guy and I'd be cussing and all these horrible words. And then I'd be like, don't make me hate. I don't want to hate today. and she'd have to hear me say that like 50 times a night because an imp was pissing me off as I glory killed him. I was like, don't make me hate today.
I'm very glad that they have how the enemies interact with you when you're playing the game. Like you just mentioned, like the imps annoy you, right? They're little fucking gnats that just run around.
But they're intelligent.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like sometimes enemies are dumb just for being dumb, and you just hate them
the
because
fodder. They literally call them fodder.
Yeah,
like the zombies.
There's annoying, right? But the imps were actually like, come here, you little shit.
Yeah,
you little bastard. Get over here.
Running around, fucking throwing fireballs at you.
Yeah.
There's that scene.
Or they would run away from you. They would run by and they do like a side throw and hit you with a fireball and they continue to run. You're like, oh, you little fuck.
There's that scene. It's my favorite part that I love talking about. There's that scene in the beginning of the game when you just get the shotgun and then the door opens and then it's the imp down the hallway and then it looks at you and he goes, ah, right? It's not the imp fucking trying to scare you or be intimidating. That's the imp literally yelling at his friends. He's like, oh fuck, it's the Doomslayer. Yeah. Literally going like, oh shit. It's just my favorite part, because I mean, like, they're literally terrified of you because they've been killed by you probably thousands of fucking times. Because the demons, when they die, they just go back to hell. They don't actually die. Yeah. And I mean, I love the fact that, and this is enhanced by like 20 times in Doom Eternal with how the enemies are, is like how each enemy has their role. And I know we got into an argument about this a while ago, and how it feels like a chessboard, and how like each enemy interacts with the player. And I know that you were harking on me because you were like, every enemy is like a chess game if you think about it.
I still hold to that opinion that every game can be like a chessboard, but Doom is too fast for chessboarding. And what I mean by that's not necessarily a negative thing. Is you have to be adaptable when you play Doom. Mm-hmm. The enemies are dynamic in that game.
Right.
Like, every enemy is kind of a different level of difficulty, right? You have heavies, lights, whatever.
Yeah, they literally have classification.
And an imp may be a one-shot kill, but if you got a fucking cacodemon flying at you, and you're looking up or looking down, and then you get hit by the back of the head by a fucking
Mancubus,
or something,
or a Hell Knight,
you could be dead. And so it's not a chessboard is a little more like it's more strategy involved. Doom's strategy is in how you adapt when the shit goes south, and that's what I was arguing to you about. Is it's not necessarily like some brainiac chessboard. It's a very chaotic and frenetic game, and the intelligence lies in your
ability to change to the situation,
your ability to and what weapons to use. Like that, to me, knowing what weapons to use and how to attack each enemy that's coming after you is the chessboard part.
Right.
The battling is all fucking random. Like, I mean, I've played so much 2016, and I played a lot of Eternal. Not as much as you. I played a lot of Eternal, and there is you can go at something the same way, and you'll get a different result depending on what enemy you miss.
Yeah, I mean,
it
reminds me of like how Halo CE the first game, and how the enemies were like the same way, right? Like they had different classifications. Like
the enemies were very intelligent in Halo.
You had the grunts, and then you had the elites, and then you had the jackals and the hunters, and they all had their role and their purpose, which you can also say, has their chess pieces, right? Like Doom, especially with like Eternal and stuff. Like the pawns are the zombies and the imps, because they're easy to kill, but they can kill you, if you let them.
If you're stupid.
The Hell Knights are like the bishops, right? The Pinkies are like the rooks, and then you've got like the Cyber Demon and the Spider Mastermind is the king and the queen, shit like that. And then the arsenal that you have as the Doomslayer is also your chessboard pieces, right? Like you have things that work better for clearing out waves of enemies, and you have things that work better for killing off the big guys, But in terms of just like enemy design, like I can only really think of like Halo for having that combat being based with like enemies and enemy AI.
I played so much Halo, and I think a lot of people did when that came out in that generation.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, because before 2016's Doom, I had never been introduced to even in Half-Life wasn't even this way. Is I was never introduced to an enemy source like you'd shoot up a what do you call the elites? I'd never had one where I ran back to get ammo and then got one-shotted by an elite because he fucking followed me.
Yep.
Because he was pissed off that I took his shield. And then nothing's more infuriating than when he kill you, and then you hear him go, oh, yeah. And you go, you son of a bitch. And then you immediately were like, no, he's dead this time.
Yeah.
And 2016, I think the imps were just like that, but not as strong.
Right.
I think they were light to medium damage, but they were equally as intelligent.
Yeah. I mean, I think the closest enemy to the elites from Halo and Doom I would say would be like the Revenants or the Hell Knights, right? Because they just tank and eat so much damage, but they do the same thing, just separate, right? Like the Revenants like to sit far back and shoot you with the rockets.
But if you
let them get close, they will fuck you up.
But if you take off their missile launchers, they get pissed. They come right after you.
Yeah. I think that's also only in Doom Eternal too, because I think in 2016 it just chunks off their armor and then they get into a damaged state. Because Eternal, you can shoot off their arm cannons and then they're like, "Fuck, I can't do anything now." But it's the same thing. Like the elites, right? Like they'll do the same thing. There'll be the different colored ones too, because right, they have a hierarchy.
Yeah,
the red ones will have the plasma guns, and they usually stay back and shoot at you. But if you get too close to them, then they'll fuck you up.
The white ones were the swords,
right? And then the blue guys were just kind of all over the place.
Run of the mill.
Yeah, and like in terms of what I'm thinking about, like the Hell Knights, their job is literally to rush you and deal as much damage to you as possible.
They're supposed to make you panic and flush you out.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then the Revenants, they're there to plink damage at you from afar.
Let's not forget the ones that scare me are the Pinkies.
Yeah, why?
They're not scary to look at.
Just scared in terms of gameplay.
It's because they just come right at you, and the sound they make.
Yeah,
when they roar and they run at you.
I really want to make a mod that replaces their charging sound with like a freight train, so that when you're running around, you just hear because it would be really funny.
To this day, though, I think out of all the enemies in Doom, all the Dooms that have come out, the Cacodemon is my favorite. And
you're not the only one.
And I truly believe that it's the one that does so much damage.
Even more in Doom Eternal.
Yeah, overall. I mean, you walk into a room and they throw two at you, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because not only does their close-up range bite do a shit ton of damage, but their long-range fireball they spit out but
they also make it easy for you to dodge these things too.
Yes.
Like it's slightly bullet hell-esque where you can see the fireballs coming and it's like, oh shit, if you got hit, it's your fault.
They're the ones the imps try to distract you and then they chomp you from behind.
Yep.
And I mean, you could definitely tell when you have 100 health and all of a sudden you're down to 40. And you're like, oh shit.
Fuck, I'm at low health. Yeah, yep. I mean, it's awesome and it's good to see the design of enemies beginning to be, or I guess at that time it was beginning to be, important.
I like the Doom 2016 Cacodemons look better than the Doom Eternals.
Interesting. I think they're pretty close to each other.
They're a little different.
They're a little different.
I just like the look of them.
Well,
better.
I think it's also like I talked about before, just like the style. It just feels more gritty, more grungy. More realistic than 26 Eternals is, because Eternals is very cartoonish, and it does that on purpose.
Yeah, well, when we get to Eternal start part, I'll talk about.
Yeah.
My
but I mean, like we're already starting to things we liked about Doom 2016. So is there anything else that you really liked that you would like to talk about?
I would say that I think you were going to ask the question like what are our likes and dislikes. I think we went went off on a lot of our likes, but I think my only complaint with Doom 2016 was the two boss fights. Mm-hmm. I thought they were annoying. Like, they weren't fun for me.
I didn't have a huge problem with the Spider Mastermind, but I felt like I was in... Well, there's actually three, because there's the Guardians that are guarding the Crucible that you have to kill. They're like the Stone Guardians or whatever. They're little worms or shit or something, and there's two of them in the one boss fight.
And then there's the big...
Cyber Demon.
Cyber Demon.
Yep.
And I just didn't... It just felt claustrophobic, which I know the whole game is more claustrophobic.
Well, those fights were supposed to be claustrophobic.
Yeah, I just didn't like... I didn't like the boss fights as much.
Mm-hmm. Well, they literally, because they put you in a circle ring, and then it's like, all right, duke it out,
Yep.
I didn't have a huge problem with the Spider Mastermind fight. I remember there was a tech that you could do. You would take the BFG and you would shoot it, right? And then when you were holding the weapon wheel, it would slow down time, but it would still keep the damage counters and the damage markers. So as the BFG's bullet is going by and it's hitting the bosses, you could literally just like instantly kill the whole thing. All right, so we talked about Doom 2016 and we keep getting it brought up and talked about here. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the Doom Eternal part of the segment here.
Yeah, let's cheers and have our beer, my friend.
Beer for the Doom.
Yep. It's good, huh?
It was a lager.
Yep. Little German lager, a little Bitburger.
I love me some lagers. Okay. So it was already really difficult enough to make Doom 2016, especially during the period when they were, working on Doom 4 and then scrapping it to make Doom 2016. But Doom Eternal, like we've mentioned before, is an improvement to 2016, but it's very different to 2016. And I wanted to talk about how, insane it must have been when they were making Doom Eternal, and just going okay, what are we gonna do? With what we've got, as much as of a masterpiece, I think Doom Eternal is, in my opinion. It's already it's hard for me to understand how they make something like that.
Well, this is my belief. Doom Eternal is just Doom Quake. And that's not a bad thing, because Quake is awesome. But back in the 90s, when Doom and Quake were kind of the top dogs of first person shooters on the PC, there were two camps of Doom players and Quake players. And Doom Eternal is just Quake's gameplay, that fast, go, kill as many things as you can on screen. But then they still had the Doom story and the Doom Slayer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's what, because it reminded me, totally like when you'd get items and it would sparkle all the items up. That's total Quake Arena.
When you would chainsaw, yeah,
that's total Quake Arena to me.
I mean, we'll get into the game design because I'm very, very, very into what's the word? I don't want to say intuitive to it, but aware of the game design and what everything that they place to make you do as the player. But I wanted to really talk about just what are the things that you think they improved from Doom 2016? Because I mean, it's already difficult enough because we separate them a lot.
They're two different games that share the same name. That is it.
Right.
I mean, it's got the same character in it, but they're different games. I don't know if
would you say it's unfair to say improve?
Doom Eternal improved on anything in Doom because it's its own game. It's so different. Halo 1, Halo 2. I know we bring up Halo. That's a big comparison. Cause
they're the two that you
Halo
would think about.
2's improvements were dual guns. Mm-hmm. You could drive the Warthog. You use the sword. Blah, 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 right? Doom Eternal, it's a completely different game.
Yeah. So I guess that is probably a bad word to say because It's already so separated
The
from
only
each
reason
other.
you can compare it is because they share the same name and
Yeah.
the same character in the storyline. But gameplay-wise, they are completely different animals. You know, one is claustrophobic, down corridors, some jumping here and there, and you have little tiny arenas. And the other one is got the pedal to the floor with the nitrous bottle on, and you're jumping and flying everywhere and trying to. And yeah, it has some of those moments of claustrophobia like Doom 2016, but a lot of it is
Open environments,
environments, jumping from one platform to another, and keeping. It's all about movement in that game, and that's what a lot of arena shooters were, like Unreal
tournament and stuff.
And Quake were all arena. You have to keep moving. You stand in one spot, you're dead. You're catching a grenade, you're catching a rocket right in the back.
Right.
And Doom Eternal's campaign was very much that frenetic jumping around. Continue to move, don't stop.
I mean, the other thing I think about in comparison of the two is like we talked about the enemy variety, and it's so crazy to me because Doom Eternal has double the enemies that Doom 2016 has, right? Doom 2016 has like I think it was like 11 enemy types, right? And then Doom Eternal has 21 enemy types, like doubled that shit, and how it still keeps the same thing with, just like we talked about, you know, like not the strategic, but the kind of chess thing that we were talking about, right? Like the enemies have their roles and they do their roles, and that's their thing, and you got to figure out the little combat puzzle to figure out how to, you know, get rid of them and keep moving forward, you know.
The strategy is taking out the most threat one first, right?
Right, the biggest threats, yeah.
You know,
which could be like, you know, an Archvile, a fucking Arachnotron, it could be a Pain Elemental, and My one of my favorite things, other than just like all of Doom Eternal, is that the enemies all look like the sprites from Doom 2 and the original Doom, just put into like modern day graphics, and just how they incorporated that just makes me smile so much, because I love seeing the cacodemons, and I love seeing the pinkies, and the pinkies are just fucking train running you over, and they're just like, "Rrr."
Did they have? I want to say I'm going to answer my own question, but I'm going to say yes. They had the invisible pinkies in Doom 2016, right?
Yeah.
Which would have been more of an homage to Doom 1 if they hadn't had those ones in there, because I don't think they were in the original Doom.
They were. I think there was a couple of rooms. Were they? Oh, wait. I feel like there was a couple of rooms where they had...
I think it was Doom 2.
It might have been Doom 2. Yeah.
But anyways, we're talking about Doom 2 Eternal. No, dude. It was also a brighter game.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal...
Like I mentioned, it was very cartoonish.
Well, the enemies looked really good. I think it was just the color palette they used. I don't think it was more it didn't seem cartoonish to me. It was just that you weren't in this, you know,
industrial
1977 Alien 1, you know, esque dark corridors, because that, I mean, the Doom and Gloom in 2016 was very much like the Gloom and Doom in like I know I said it before, I don't like it, but Doom 3. It was that horror aspect, but you were still moving at a faster pace. You weren't like Resident Evil speed. You were at, you know, you were going 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Doom Eternal's like, okay, we're going to go 100, but we're going to turn nitrous and go 160.
I think the only reason why I said improved was because in my mind they took a lot of things from 2016 and we'll mention it here in a second, but they turned it up to like 11. You know, the gore was crazier, the levels were crazier, the enemies were crazier, you were crazier.
Right. That part is true. That is an oversight in my part. But comparing the two together is impossible, because
it's pretty much impossible.
They're just different kinds of games.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I was there when Unreal came out, and I was there when, I mean, I'm going to date myself to the launch of Xbox Live, and Unreal Tournament was one of those games. And it was like, you know, it was 16, you know, 16 on, you know, 16, you know, everybody, 16 players, everybody versus everybody. And just like Quake, it was, if you stopped for a second, if you didn't think about where you were going to go, if you know, you're the lucky
guy.
Any
hiccup in
space. You're the lucky guy that happens to run down a corridor and the fucking rocket launcher respawns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Eternal is very much like that, even in the campaign. You know, in some of the cutscenes, it's still, you know, the Doomslayer is still like this badass, doesn't listen to nobody.
I mean, dude, the fucking glory kills, man. Like, he just eviscerates everything in his path. I mean, Even with that fucking arm blade, that Predator shit, like he just destroys everything in his path.
My favorite one still is the one where he punches down on the enemy's head.
Yeah, that's one of the fodder enemies.
And if you pause it and look at the enemy's face, it is so fucking funny. Because it's like boom, you're dead,
Yeah.
And for some reason, for a guy like me, I'm just like, when I see him do that, it's like I couldn't have imagined that any better. Like that's exactly what I was thinking about the guy. Just Hulk smash,
What are some other of your favorite glory kills from both of the games? Because I'm trying to remember like all of my favorite glory kills from like.
I love the ones where you I always forget the names. The big heavy guys. Mancubus. I love stabbing, pulling their heart out, and feeding it to him.
It's so funny.
I love pulling the eyes out of the cacodemons.
I think the only one I don't like from the Mancubuses is in 2016 he runs up on the sides and then unplugs their hoses and then they explode. It's like the only one I think I don't like from him, but it's still quick and gets it over with and shit.
No, the one where he stabs him in the heart and feeds it to him is really cool.
It's so funny. It's so good. Yeah, it's just like you want to eat
your
heart?
And the Pinky and the Spidertron have a similar one where he. I think he pulls the tooth out of the fang out of the Pinky and stabs him in the eye.
He stabs him in the gut and then the eye.
Yeah. And then the spider.
Arachnotrons.
Yeah, he pulls. I can't remember if he stabs him in the face.
He pulls off one of their little grenade things and then shoves it in his mouth.
Doesn't he also grab one of their legs and stabs him in the face?
Yeah, he stabs him in the eye. Yeah,
which is what every woman would do with a real spider.
It's just so fun, so creative, so interesting seeing all of the.
I think the main thing I appreciate about Doom, all of them, three. We haven't got to the third one yet, but what I really love about, and I know that we always talk about. This is something we didn't talk about before, but I'm going to go down it. I know I beat this over the head, but the message, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love how Doom feels masculine. And not that bullshit toxic masculinity shit. Like, it just feels like, the Doomslayer would come home and crack a beer and then kick the dog outside, and then the dog would still like him because they're friends. I just...
Hey, man, the Doom guy had a bunny.
The games feel like... The Doom series feels like when you hear a heavy metal riff and you just get that angry metal face.
I think it's so funny because, like, I think... Oh, we didn't even talk about the music for 2016 either. We'll do it in this segment. In this segment because I think we'll compare them a lot with each other here. Because I like Eternals more, and I think you like 2016's more.
Well, there's 3 specific tracks on Doom's 2016 that I make my comparison on. And it's the Rip and Tear,
BFG Division, and then
at the Gates of Hell or whatever it's called. Is that
at Doomsgate? You mean?
Yeah, Doomsgate. Like, I love all those, and I specifically love. I don't know what the name of the track is. You're more of the game soundtrack guy than I am, but I love how whatever soundtrack it is that they incorporate the original Doom.
Mick Gordon did that all over Doom 2016.
Right, and it's so cool because I was there when Doom came out, and I had friends that had computers. I didn't have computers, and it was really cool when you hear the music.
Yeah,
because even back then, even though it was like that MIDI sound, the music still felt heavy metal.
I love there's one track, and it's in Doom Eternal, and it goes back to Sin City, and it has this riff in it that fucking kicks in. It has this like piano part, and it goes and then he slows it down in Doom Eternal, and then he has the guitar, and it just goes
Well, funny thing about the music is if you listen to it in any soundtrack, in any speaker system, or any car that has bass, it'll shake your car windows off. It's pretty intense. Like, because I have the Doom 16 soundtrack on my iPhone as a thing, and I have those 3 songs I tell you about. And there's been a couple times where I was sitting there just listening to music, and he'll hit a note with the bass guitar, and my shit's just vibrating.
He does a lot of there's a lot of synth. So we'll talk about this here.
The synth is cool too.
We'll talk a lot about this here because we forgot to do it on the last segment here, which is fine.
It's our show.
Mick Gordon is would you say that he's important to both of us, right?
So Mick Gordon, well, obviously, I'm a huge metalhead, and I talk about I talk about heavy metal all the time, and I talk about I listen to all genres, but I do appreciate the metal is my favorite, and it does feel good. And this is going to sound super cheesy, but it does feel good when, as a metalhead, you hear a soundtrack that feels like it's catering to you, because. Not only does the Doomslayer look aggressive because he's like this big juiced out guy who's always angry. I don't know who that reminds you of. But there's a lot of guys that can probably feel that. Like you were saying, like in the storylines, he doesn't say anything, but they'll say something. He'll just grab something aggressively or slap something out of his way.
He does the things that the players think.
Yeah, the players are like, get that shit out of my face, right? But then the music kicks in, and it's just like, okay, I'm trying to calm down here.
Did you watch that video that I sent you? The understanding of music, Doom's music. Okay,
that was the one that you were. That was the one that I did not watch yet.
It's all right.
I got about 8 minutes into it, but then I wanted to go back and watch the other two and complete them.
So in that video, he talks about all of the Doom soundtracks, and the one thing that he opens the video up with was talking about music motivating players, right? And he was talking about he would play Apex, and he would put on the Doom music, and he would play better because of the music, right? And Mick Gordon's talked about this a lot, and it's why I think he's one of the best composers that you can find out in the market just in general, is that he takes the most, not outlandish, but the most simple way to make a video game soundtrack. So when he was making Doom 2016, they literally told him, no guitars, but we will welcome synths, which is like, holy shit, that's already a difficult task in mind. And in one of the no clips there, he's talking to him, and he goes, what I had to do is I had to break everything down and just remove the word Doom, because it created so much what's the word, fear of just like, oh my god, it's so big, how can I live up to this? So he would literally just remove Doom from everything, and he breaks down, he goes, okay, so Doom is based in, or it's based in hell is low, subs are low, and then he literally just went off and started going with all of these crazy systems, and then just made all of these intricate sounds and this whole daisy chain of cables plugged everywhere, and made these awesome, and this is why people call it industrial glitch metal with Doom 2016.
That's just a new way. I mean, it's industrial heavy metal.
It gets to that point because he finally was allowed to add guitars in, and that's where they came into. Yeah. But he still kept them hidden to where it's not exactly the guitar, but it's added in with like synths or something.
I mean, I know you love his soundtracks, but you should really delve into 80s industrial music, because 80s industrial is very much
the same thing,
synth heavy. Oh yeah, dude! Like all the stuff that I've ever kind of showed you.
I mean, Wolfenstein's soundtrack was nothing but like synth stuff and bassy kind of like heavy shit.
It got heavy stuff.
Yeah,
and synth can be like it can draw. For me, it was really cool because the synth was really cool in it. It was very very gritty. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as the guitars kicked in, it was like, okay, now let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my favorite tracks he basically took a guitar and then recorded it sped up really fast, and it was like digga 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 digga, and he was like, I know it sounds like Bill and Ted at the moment, but just wait. And what he did is he played it back on like a tape recorder or something, and jacked up like the gain, and it created that like harsh guitar sound, and slowed it down and put it into the song Harbinger, and it's one of the like coolest fucking songs you can hear in the game. I think that's one of my favorite ones. I think.
I think I should probably delve into that a little more, because I do. The music in the game is perfect
for 2016
and Eternal.
I always assumed that you and Dad just didn't like Eternal's music. I love the three
tracks that I talked to you about because they're fucking heavy metal to me with synth. But that doesn't detract from Eternal and even the newest one. The newest one has
the Dark Ages has a good track.
Yeah,
I listened to it a lot more than I thought I would, and it's mostly like I was playing Space Marine 2 recently with my buddies, and like I put the Dark Ages soundtrack on a lot of the really cool tracks that I like, which is like I think it's like 11 or 12 of them or whatever, and like it's exactly what it needs to be. It motivates me to play. It is kind of
fucked up though, because Mick Gordon is not in Doom to Dark Ages.
He's just not in Doom anymore at all.
And it's fucked up because they basically took Dark Ages and just copied his exact, like his approach to the music, because it still does all the same kind of cues that the other Dooms that he was involved in with.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slap in the face, really.
A tiny bit. Tiny bit. I mean,
their Doom Dark Ages soundtrack is not as good as Eternal's. And the only reason why 2016 is even in the conversation is because the three songs that we talked about 10 minutes ago.
Which is the ones that everybody talks about.
Because those are badass songs. Like, those are just taking Doom out of it.
The BFG division was put back into Eternal because it's the most popular song from 2016, and everybody fucking loved that song. Yep. And it's a good song. It's so funny how that song is like the most popular when it's like the most simple metal track, in the game, because I feel like Rip and Tear is a lot more complex than BFG.
No, Rip and Tear sounds like a Slipknot song.
It's a Rip and Tear.
Yeah, when it gets deep into it.
I just know from my perspective that like Eternal really, with the soundtrack, really amped it up in like the best of ways. And I'll get into the controversy a little bit because it's kind of important to me. But every song I play every once in a while, like I'll put it on like a month later or whatever.
Well, the Doom Eternal game in general is your magnum opus.
Yeah.
It's the top of the top. Any other game that comes out, it kind of has to. It lives up to that. Like, this is a great game.
Yeah,
it's not Doom Eternal.
Well, I mean, like we mentioned with like 2016, it's different though, because there's games that I put to the top that aren't like Doom Eternal, if that makes sense. Like they're not the same in the sense of like, for instance, like like the finals, right? Like I know it's a multiplayer game, but like that's one of my favorite games, but it's not going to be like, oh, I think Doom Eternal's better, because they're like separate, Now, when I go and play, for instance, like Bolt Gun or Proteus or, these like boomer shooter games, I go, okay, does this give me some of the same feelings? Not the exact same feelings, but some of the same feelings that
Bolt
I had.
Gun's so good.
It's great. It's a fucking fantastic game. Proteus is a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should play Proteus. It's an awesome game. But Doom Eternal, this is getting a little personal for me. It literally like saved my life. I was going through some rough shit. I had a really bad breakup, and it was fucking destroying me. And it came out on my birth month on the 20th, and I was literally like so depressed for like weeks prior to that. And then Doom Eternal dropped, and everything else went away. It was
Doom
like
Eternal came out in March.
Yep. March
came out 2020, like during COVID.
Yep.
Holy shit!
Well, I think it was a little before COVID kicked off.
Well, my job site got shut down like the 20th on your birthday. So
that's funny.
Or yeah, the 20th they got shut down.
Yeah, it was 2020. Yeah, 2020. I can't remember if it was I think it was the 20th on March. I can't remember if it was the 20th or the 10th. Go ahead and check that for me.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
But like no, like I was literally like having a rough time, and Doom Eternal came out, and my attitude changed so quick. Like, I ripped through the entire game in 12 hours and then went and replayed it. There was actually a couple of times, too, I remember when I was playing it, and I got pissed off.
March 20th.
I was right, yeah. I was pissed off because I was getting my ass beat by some of the fucking levels. And I literally would leave, go get a cup of water, sit down for a minute. And then I was like, I'm going to have to go back in and play it some more. And then I immediately went back into my room and played it some more. Like, that's probably why I have such an attachment to it. Even if I try my best not to have my bias towards it and trying to talk to people about it in like in a non-biased way.
Every human in the world has something that they enjoy that they can't explain why it's their thing. It could be a band, it could be a movie, it could be a book.
Right.
Yours happens to be a video game, and it's no different than anybody else's, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's tons of things that are super important to me that it's personal, and I don't have to explain it to anybody. It's just my thing, and that's what everybody has that. Mm-hmm. And if you care about somebody, you respect them for it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like the thing.
Right.
But you can at least go, yeah, I have something just like that. We can relate that way.
Right.
I remember how that explains how many times you and I got in arguments over the. I remember your sister was out there.
Yeah,
you were like yelling at me. And it was like, well, he's going through some shit, and I was calling out. And I wasn't even being like a real dick. But then seeing you get so red-faced, and then you see me smiling, and you're like, you fucker. And I'm like, yep, I'm fucking with you, suck it. But, yeah, there's. I think Halo 1 was like that for me. I didn't have anything traumatic going on, but it was like that same thing where it's like, dude, this is the only thing. Mm-hmm. This is the thing, I do have a really funny story about one of the Halos. I can't remember if it was 5 or 4, but I had gotten online with a friend of mine. We'd never played games online before. Uh-huh. And I had played through the game, and I got all the shit we needed to fight this boss. And I'm running along, and there's a energy bridge you have to activate. And I knew the cutscene was going to kick the energy bridge on, and I jumped. And it didn't activate the cutscene. I went, ah! And then I respawned. Me and my friend, he still brings it up to this day. It's fucking funny. And I respawned with nothing except a pistol and a couple grenades. And I'm like, well, this is stupid.
Well, I mean, it's like when we were playing Halo, 1 together, and you were just showing me all of the like secrets and shit that you were finding when you were playtesting that shit, and just like having the good old fun. That was a good time when we were just playing and having that.
Weren't we playing with Isaac back then?
No, it was just me and you playing campaign.
What were we playing with Isaac? Was that Halo 3?
No, I think that was Reach.
Oh yeah, it was Reach. That's because remember I got blown up by the tank because I power slid next to you
that
guys?
was Reach. Yeah,
and I said, "Get in, loser. We're doing butt stuff." And I got blown up over the mountain. That was bullshit. Anyways, we're talking about Doom, but yeah, the key takeaway to talking about Halo is the same admiration and love of
the older ones
of a good game.
The newer ones haven't given us the same feelings for Halo that at least Doom has. Doom has revitalized itself and really cemented the name, I think, for people. Like, I think at this point, people were going to buy Doom anyways, but I think everybody's going to buy Doom now, right? With just the triple games that we have,
Some people don't like Doom because of how it's really frenetic. Some people like to sit back and do like a little... Like, Halo has a very diverse...
Playstyle
where you can be a sniper, you can be a run and gun, because I'm more of a run and gun. I do love snipering. But there's people that don't like getting into the middle of things. Doom doesn't offer that kind of safety net to people.
No.
And so they do eliminate some players that don't like that in your face, let's go kind of shit. But majority of people that do like that frenetic, like I like the arena style shooters, like the old school ones. Doom Eternal is very much that way, So
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, and I know that like it's okay for me to have my bias towards it, but it's so difficult, and like it's I'm going on to like the music thing because I don't want to forget about it and then not talk about it. Then
at the end of the day, though, regardless of of your bias towards Doom Eternal, it's still one of the best modern games that's come out in the last like 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Doom series is. Really
I'm still pissed off that Doom Eternal did not get Game of the Year and they gave it to Last of Us 2.
Like, are you surprised?
It just that just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I was.
If they had turned the Doomslayer into he identified as a lesbian, he would have got it.
Man, he was just a guy that had a bunny, and the demons fucking killed his bunny. Okay, let the man rip and tear as much as he wants.
Doomslayer Wick, huh?
Yeah, true. Yeah. But to go back onto the music thing though,
yep, Big Gordon.
Yeah. So like, we were talking about 2016 and like the industrial glitch metal that it had. And I really wanted to talk because you're always on like those are the heavy things. That's why you love them. They're heavy, right? And I remember we were talking about this a while ago, and I was talking about, man, Doom Eternal has heavy songs. I pointed out specifically like Metal Hell and Cultist Bass,
yep.
And I think Meat Hook as well. I know that you don't think the only thing they fear is you is that heavy. Even knowing that I would think it's kind of heavy, right? Which we kind of got into a sidetrack where we were talking about, I'm much more a part of the like epic metal, and you're into like the heavier metal.
I like the chunky riffs.
Yeah,
that's the main hook.
I think about those songs, like Metal Hell and like I mentioned before, Cultist Bass. Like they have the heavy elements that I would consider heavy. Like Metal Hell has that guitar riff that goes dum dum boom boom, like that's heavy to me. And then like also with Cultist Bass, which I told you about, he used a chainsaw to make the guitar parts for that. It's not an actual guitar where it goes da 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 da, like that's a chainsaw. And it's fucking heavy, and I love that shit. But it's just like those things to me are like important, probably to the same level as like BFG Division and Rip and Tear are probably to you. Even knowing that I would say Mick Gordon's magnum opus in terms of all of the soundtracks, it has to be The Only Thing They Fear Is You. That track in my mind is just like the ultimate, like, you are a fucking killing machine and they are afraid of you,
I agree.
To go into the little bits here for what was going on. So Mick Gordon, after he did 2016, he got a lot of praise and a lot of awards for it because everybody was really, really excited for 2016. And they tasked him because he went to a GDC port where he was talking about making Doom 2016 soundtrack. He was back in California again for another reason. Or was it California or was it Texas? I can't remember. It was one of the things. He was back there again because they were working on Doom Eternal at the time. And he was always excited to do it again because he had a lot of fun really coming up with these really cool ideas and making one of the best soundtracks I think I've ever heard for a video game in a long, long time. And the drama is, or I guess the things that happened is he had a lot of mismanagement with the upper ups. in id Software, where there was times where he would make music and then they would reject it and say it's not what we were looking for, and then they would basically tell him, like, you have another quick date, like you have to get this song done or you have to get these songs done in a certain amount of time. He didn't get paid for them, and they really did a lot of scummy things that kind of like broke id's image in my mind, because I always viewed them like, oh, they're the coolest guys you can coolest game designers, right? Where he basically, like, all of the songs that you hear in Doom Eternal, like a good 80% of them are actually the rejected songs that that they didn't want. And he also wanted to put, like we mentioned before, a lot more references from the original Dooms into Doom Eternal soundtrack, but they wouldn't let him do it, which sucked because it would have been so fun too. And what ended up happening is a few things. There was the no paying, the encroaching date, to try to force him to get all these songs mixed and compiled together in a proper time that he wasn't going to be able to do. And then they announced with the collector's edition that you would get the full soundtrack mixed by Mick Gordon. So what happened was upon the release of the game, which they didn't tell him that he had to make the soundtrack and it was going to be a part of the collector's edition, when the game released, all of the songs weren't finished, and he only had 3 songs finished. It was Cultist Base, The Only Thing They Fear Is You, and then one other, I think it was Meat Hook. And so what they had to do, id Software had their sound guy, who worked directly with Mick Gordon for inputting the music into the game, basically just mix what he had into songs and then gave that to the audience, to the people that paid for it. And everybody, I remember at that time, was going through the sound files, and they were like, there was a lot of weird stuff where like the audio file was just too loud, that you couldn't really hear the dynamic range with everything. And it sparked a drama because Mick Gordon posted on there, he was like, yeah, I didn't mix that, I wouldn't have done that. And then everybody was like, whoa, what the fuck happened? And it comes out to be this like huge thing back and forth where like Marty Stratton and Mick Gordon had to make these giant long Reddit posts explaining everything that happened. And Marty was saying that Mick Gordon was uncooperative and hard to work with, and like he was an asshole. And then Mick Gordon was just like, even if I was upset and I did do some things that were mean, you guys didn't pay me. You made it harder for my job to actually work, and then you didn't tell me all of these things. So it ended up being just one of those shitty situations where it was like, we're never going to get another Mick Gordon Doom soundtrack, And after Doom Eternal, when they did the campaign or the DLCs, they had Andrew Holschult, who's another big name. He did the original mod for Doom, Brutal Doom and stuff, where you can get a mod called the Doom Music Metal, where he just remasters all of the songs and makes them more metal with like guitars and stuff like that. It's an awesome mod. They hired him to do a couple of tracks, and then this other guy, I think his name is like Levy or something like that, David Levy or something like that. It's just a wholly unfortunate situation, and I just feel terrible for Mick Gordon because he made the name for Doom music at this point, other than the original soundtracks. But at the same time, the original soundtracks took a lot of inspiration from old school thrash metal and shit.
Absolutely, absolutely. They even say that was the inspiration, was the big four.
Yeah, and so that's the context with Doom Eternal, but at least the music, and I love the music. I play it all the time. It's one of the best soundtracks you can probably play for if you want to get fucking pumped at the gym. There's already a bunch of heavy metal Doom mixes that you can find everywhere, and it's awesome. But going on to the game, because we talked a lot about the music, because we kind of jutted in that section here. So we talked about the glory kills, and we talked about the action that 2016 had, pumped it up to 11. We wanted to talk about more additions to the lore, because we kind of hinted at it every once in a while here.
Eternal definitely added more story to the Doom series. I mean, they added the con maker. They added the whole dynamic between the con maker and the demons, and where the humans sat in the middle of that shit.
Yeah,
it filled in a lot of gaps from the first one from 2016.
I think the story-wise, it was like an actual like sequel to 2016, and I think you mentioned that kind of at that point too. You were like, other than the story, these are two separate games, which I would agree with.
Only in gameplay style is what I mean.
Right.
The continuity between the storyline and the Doomslayer are continuations for sure.
Yeah,
but it's just the different styles of play between the claustrophobic corridor fast shooter and the Quake style. You run around, jump over everything,
air
multiple
combat,
layers to jump in and out of.
Yeah. Here's a question. Did you have anything that I might be able to explain to you that you were curious about for the lore in terms? Because I can go over the whole thing.
Well, there's so much. There's so much because basically I'm one of those players that it's like the typical Doom player. I'm like, hey, I've heard enough. Let's
Video
go kill
games,
shit.
let's go.
Let's kill shit. But there was a lot of cool audio files in those games that were.
I think it was mostly in
insightful.
2016 that had a lot of the demons and scribings, and it was this dude. He was always talking like.
But that talks more about Doom, the Dark Ages, than it does. Than it does Doom Eternal.
It's the Dark Ages is the tales of why the demons fear him so much, and I love that the totems were being told by this dude that always he was just like in the first age, it's just so fucking cheesy and so funny. But I don't know, like I've spent a lot of time really delving into as much as the Doom lore as I can because it's just so fun to me. It's like I know a lot of people critique it a lot, right? Because they're like, oh, this seems stupid or this seems silly, and it's just like, dude, it's just fun. Like, just have fun.
It's one man versus the entire
army of demons.
Yeah, the original Doom series was a space marine.
Yeah, on Mars
fighting his way through hell,
and then
there was no story.
Yeah.
It was literally, you run here, you kill this, you kill that.
They had little inserts that explained like why he was going to a certain place or whatever, but then it was literally just like
original Doom had the storyline in the manual.
The games. A lot of games at that time had stories in their manuals. Dude,
that's every game was like you read the manual. It's like how to not insert the disc or whatever. You're like, okay, I'm not dumb. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, look at the story. I don't want to read this. It's still story.
Yeah. I don't know. The Doom Eternal story has a lot of fun stuff in it that I find really, really enjoyable. Like we were talking about earlier with like the DLC, and I kind of just gave you like a rundown of like basically what happens.
I haven't played all of that yet.
All of the DLCs and stuff, yeah. Yep. And it delves a lot into heaven and hell, and you've mentioned it a lot, like the oppression that or I guess this was before the podcast, but you've mentioned the oppression that the makers, which is basically heaven, have on humanity, and why they're
essentially sacrificing us to restart heaven.
Yes, yeah. Try to at least.
Yeah, and they're bringing hell into the whole mix to kill everybody, so hell's still the bad guy.
Hell only exists in this term to harvest our souls to feed the Argent energy, which is what Doom 2016 was going for. They were like, Argent energy is the new energy source. It's like almost infinite, and that's why Dr. Samuel Hayden wants you to, remove each lens individually, and then he just fucking kicks it. Yep. It's so important to him because it'll keep, energy reserves at an infinite thing. But as the same thing, heaven tries to harvest it as much to revitalize, to rebirth,
sacrifice humanity for their own gain.
Yeah, which the con maker really, really chooses for. She makes that decision, which I guess she is like the head of heaven at that point, right? And she makes an appearance in the Dark Ages as well. I think at least in the expansion that's coming out here pretty soon. But there's a lot that goes into the narrative of Doom Eternal that I feel like a lot of people kind of just like write over because they're like, oh, it's.
Well, it's because Doom was designed for people with ADHD.
I get it.
But I mean, like,
I'm mostly talking about people being like, oh, it's kind of dumb. Like people don't like some of the things that happen in the story in the narrative.
I've never heard that. But at the same time,
that's like the one thing I hear a lot of people always talk about is like, oh, I know it's a Doom game and the story's not important, but like the story's not that good, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Just maybe you're not giving enough effort into it.
A lot more people act like me, and they don't read the actual written stuff that actually makes it an actual story. That's why I was telling you, like, the cool thing that I noticed when I played 2016 was I too didn't pay attention to any of those audio files and readable files until I actually went through and beat the game
on the second time,
and then on the second playthrough. I did the same thing with Eternal. I played Eternal a couple times, and then every time I got something, I was like, "Oh, I'll stop and listen."
Eternal was one of the first games that I went immediately after completing it to go and 100% that one save file, and then I replayed it all the way through again. Like, I rarely ever do completionist stuff. But, like, that game... Because I didn't do it with 2016. I just watched videos on lore explanations and shit. But like Eternal, no, I went through and I was like, I gotta read, I gotta collect everything, I gotta get all the little action figures and put them on my shelf. And you go back to the Doom Fortress, and he's got that fucking 3-monitor gaming PC with a bunch of fucking icons layered everywhere. And then he also has the old school 90s computer with Doom 1 and 2 right there, ready for you to play.
Yep.
It's just it's so much love and passion for just something that
even though they screwed over the composer, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
dicks,
whatever, assholes.
Yeah, but Doom Eternal was a more gameplay wise, it's more of a complete game because like the boss fights in Eternal were a lot more fun, in my opinion, than in
What
Doom
was your
1.
favorite boss?
First time you see the Marauder, he comes out of the portal.
Oh, that whole scene.
That was it's not even really a boss fight.
Nothing but a usurper.
Yep.
That false idol.
Yep, that was brutal. I was like,
my eyes have been opened.
Yep.
Let me help you, Slayer, to see. And then it kicks off that. Dude, that guy beat my ass. He beat my fucking ass.
I restarted a few fucking times.
Oh man, that fight was so good. And then eventually, I just got so good at killing them that they were just like, whatever, Marauder.
Yeah, you're a bitch.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, first time I fought him, I was like, this guy's a cocksucker. And then you learn the combos, and you're like, okay, I got this guy.
Yeah, I remember when
you're forced to be good against those guys because they keep adding them in the levels after that.
I love it too because in the Ancient Gods Part 2 they literally have a segment, because in the Ancient God Part 1 they have a segment where there's 2 of them, but in the Ancient Gods Part 2 there's one where they have 2 of them with a bunch of fodder enemies as well. So you're literally, instead of it just you're focused on the Marauders, they literally go, here's a couple of Marauders. And then also a bunch of imps and fucking zombies. And then, there's also probably a Mancubus, launching shit at you every once in a while. It was a brutal fight. It was definitely a nightmare, ultra nightmare ender for sure.
Well, the funny thing about that kind of scenario is that, getting off subject with that kind of shit, is that I remember when I fought all the Berserkers in Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, you'd fight the Berserkers, and each one would be extremely difficult, kind of like the Valkyries.
Berserkers are the ones that were the monkey guys, right?
No, in God of War Ragnarok, it was kind of like they were the Valkyrie sections.
Oh, okay.
And they were like these badass, like undead, guys you'd fight. And it was like 3 levels of life you had to survive. And all
Gotcha.
But I remember going to the final guy, and it doesn't just show up with 1; it's 3 of them.
Oh my god,
dude! You know how many times I threw my controller? And then when I fucking beat them, I dropped my controller and stood up and walked out. And my wife's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna ride on cloud 9 for the next 5 seconds." And then I walked back in there and I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't save it." And I ran back in there and made sure I didn't fuck myself out of all those hours of dying.
Yeah, for real.
But that totally reminds me of that.
That's how I felt when I beat Doom on Ultra Nightmare. And for anybody that doesn't know, Doom has 6 difficulties.
Hurt Me Plenty is mine.
Hurt Me Plenty is a good one. That's a
little bit above normal, right?
That's like the like
medium?
recommended like one. I've played Hurt Me Plenty. One? No, because that's the very last one. That's like
there's 2 below it.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called.
Hurt Me Plenty is like the normal difficulty, and then there's too hard. There's Nightmare and then Ultra Nightmare, right? And then there's like I'm a wuss.
Yeah, yeah. I know that Wolfenstein has Baby Mode or whatever it's called, and that was funny.
A funny story about that. Back when I was in, I think I was 14 years old, a friend of mine had bought a 3DO, and those things were like $700 in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he didn't want it anymore. His mom got mad. He had to get rid of it. So he sold it to me for like $300, and I bought it, and I had like 9 games on it. And I remember playing Demolition Man. And you remember that movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone was actually involved in reshooting cutscenes for that game. And I'll never forget, one of my greatest moments in that game was I was playing it, and I was playing on normal. And there's some scene, the gameplay wasn't all that great, but it was hard. My friend was so mad it was so hard, he bumped it to easy. And as soon as he clicked easy, there was a cutscene with Sylvester Stallone, and he goes, "You suck." And I just laughed so hard. I looked over and I said, "I didn't say it. Sly said it." And that's exactly what it reminds me of. Whenever when like a game says, "Oh, you've struggled, let's turn to easy," I'm like, all I can hear is Sylvester, "You suck."
Doom Eternal had that when you would die too much. It would be like, "Do you want to lower the difficulty? Do you want to give yourself hyper armor and lower the difficulty?" And I was like, "No, motherfucker, I'm going to beat this boss.
Yep,
I'm going to kill this asshole."
Yeah. A lot of games do that. They see you fail a couple times, and then they go, "Would you like us to add auto assist?" Fuck you, game.
I always laugh when it's like that because I play shit on like harder difficulty because I fucking like suffering, and it's always funny when games will put it in there. They'll be like, "I see that you're having a hard time. Would you like to lower the difficulty?" I'm like, "No, stop it.
Yep.
Put me back in there, motherfucker."
Yeah. There was a couple times I was playing Resident Evil and it asked me that, and I was like, "Did I click the wrong thing? Am I a bitch now?" I didn't though.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal is it's just a masterpiece in my brain, and it's hard for me to try to not be like upset and be like, oh, it should have won Game of the Year, blah 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 blah. But it really should have. Like, even if like we can talk about The Last of Us 2 at some other point, but like Doom Eternal was just a way better game than Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2 got so many unwarranted awards because it was brave and it had the message, and it was just absolute garbage. Dude, nobody played the game for Ellie. She was a side character. Like, I know she's important, but nobody gave two shits about her and her lesbian dreams and her.
I mean, I gave a shit about her and Joel. I would have still played her if it was just her and Joel.
But the fact they killed Joel off in 20 minutes is absolutely fucking stupid.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
When I saw that announced, when that leaked online,
yeah, I
went down to the local GameStop. I was like, I'm unreserving it. Why? I'm not going to tell you. Just give me my $5
Just
back.
give me my money back.
Yep. Give me my fucking $5 back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It sucks. And I think that Doom Eternal deserved it just for what it did. Because, I mean, like, how many fucking 10 out of 10s did it get all over the fucking place?
Yeah, but
I understand
winning
that
Game Awards is like winning an Oscar. If you don't check off the list with all the dumb shit that the society wants you, the academies want you to click. If you're not in that grain, it doesn't matter if your game is absolutely perfect. You'll never win an award because you don't fit what the narrative they want you to pick. That's how most games are.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a hard topic. What do you think you disliked about Doom Eternal?
I would say that the only thing that it's not even a dislike. It's the learning curve of going back. And if you haven't played old school shooters, like the old arena shooters, I think it would make the game. A lot of people don't like how frenetic. I said that word a couple times, but it's very chaotic. And I think that the only thing that I saw in Doom Eternal that I didn't like compared to 2016 was I felt like the difficulty was kind of sporadic. Like there'd be mounds of the game where you'd go through and you'd fight like a perfect amount of enemies and be fine, and there'd be one area where it would spike the difficulty where you die like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and it was like, well, I'm fighting the same amount of enemies right here. Why the fuck am I dying so much? And I think it was like an inconsistent spike in difficulty. When
I think that was probably just due to the amount of enemies that there were in just differences.
Well, there's plenty of levels in that game where I was attacked by the same amount of enemies.
What was your favorite levels, like your top favorite levels from 2016 in Eternal?
Ooh. So I never liked Hell in the original Dooms. I thought it was kind of boring. And I liked the corridor shooter parts of it. In Doom 2016, I actually appreciate Hell more. It was fun.
Hell was cool in 2016.
It looked creepy and it was fun. And
Internal,
some of the jumping levels where you had to jump from platform to platform were kind of nerve wracking and fun once you did it.
Yeah, and Eternal took the Hell levels and put more kind of fleshy stuff into it. Made it kind of more of like my kind of like nightmare shit, you know, with like internal stomachs and flesh, shit everywhere.
Gross. In Doom Eternal, I really liked the space station scene where you basically blow a hole.
Phobos.
Yep, where you blow a hole.
Which has the BFG 10,000 song in it.
Where you blow a hole through Mars and then you launch yourself through it. I thought that was one of the coolest scenes.
You can't just shoot a hole onto the surface of Mars. Boom.
Yep. I thought that was a really cool
My favorite level from Eternal is super gore-nest. Just the song, the level design, the enemy variety. And I beat that bitch on the master level, which master levels up the difficulty by changing the enemies that are placed, upping how many more enemies are placed, and making it much more of a difficult challenge. And like the master level for Super Gore Nest was no punk. It made you its bitch when it wanted to. And I had fucking 86 runs on my Ultra Nightmare run for that level, and it was a fucker and a half, but I did it. And that level, I think it spoke to me so much just because of like mainly the music, because my favorite track is the Super Gore Nests song. But just the level design, like you open up in the train and then you exit out and you're seeing all these fucking skyscrapers and you're seeing all the demon signals or sigils all over the sky, and then you turn to your right and there's a bunch of fucking demons. You kill them and then you open up this like fucking teeth mound and going through these buildings, and then you end up to where you see the Super Gore Nest, and it's this big fucking crazy
monolith
structure
thing,
yeah. And then you go down inside of it and you see the heart that's pumping it, and then you're like, I gotta fucking rip that shit out. And so you turn on the power generator and it kills everything. It's just like, it's the coolest fucking level. A close second for me was probably Arc Base, which is the one after that where you have to go and kill a bunch of towers.
Yeah, I didn't
and
really
stuff.
like the boss fights in Doom Eternal as much either. Now that I think about it, because the con maker was kind of stupid.
A little bit.
You know, it was like
I think the only boss I really enjoyed was the Gladiator Pit. Was the Gladiator boss fight?
I agree with that
because that one challenged me. It was cool. The fucking song was awesome, and it was.
But the main boss fights at the end were kind of.
I liked the Icon of Sin. I thought the Icon of Sin fight was cool. It's kind of gimmicky.
He was cooler to fight than the con maker was.
Yeah,
the con maker was kind of boring.
If it would have ended at the con maker, the ending would have felt
stupid.
Way worse than it did. It's a good thing that they ended the game with the Icon of Sin fight, because it's such this and the track, the final sin just creates this atmosphere of like, this is two fucking titans just clashing it out, and it creates this atmosphere of just pure, just it's like watching Godzilla fight. You know, the little fucking dude jumping around and shooting and shit. But it was just, even if it was like a gimmick fight, it was such a spectacle to have this cool moment where you're fighting this giant fucking beast that's as tall as a skyscraper, you know. And that level was really cool. But Super Gore Nest is like near and dear to my heart. That level fucking rocks. In 2016, it's rough because there's a lot of cool levels in that game, but a lot of them are also very samey. I think it's probably...
The first part of the game is very samey because you're on space station.
Yeah, you're on Mars. You're on the Mars. Yeah. I think it's honestly that industrial level that I was talking about where you're seeing the pits of lava and the fucking things carrying, I think, like iron or something through, and it's just kind of like that red glowy atmosphere. It was showed in the original trailer for it. That level really, really comes to mind for me on that one.
That's the one with the Terminator 2 reference.
Yep.
The thumbs up.
Yep. Because they got to put their references in.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're off on to the last game that they just released, and they're having another expansion coming out with it here pretty soon, but that's going to be the Dark Ages, Doom the Dark Ages.
Revelations is what the new one's called?
Huh?
The expansion's called Revelations?
Yeah, which I think it's telling more reminiscent stuff, because in the trailer they showcased a bunch of scenes where it's like literally E1, M2, and you're seeing the classic glove and the fucking shotguns
Which
and shit.
is a reference to what, my friend?
E1, M2?
Yeah, for the people that don't know what that means.
Oh, in Doom, the levels weren't named something. They were E1, M1, or E1, M2, or E1, M4. So E1, M2 is just the second level at the first Doom, because they had their little floppy disk expansions.
I just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's a good idea. Which I'm excited for. And we've already had this conversation a bunch, because I'm very critical on Doom the Dark Ages, because it's not...
your style.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. But let's go ahead and open up with the segment and talk about the impossible task it must have been to take Doom Eternal, but for one, they didn't make Doom Eternal 2, because it really isn't possible, and went and shifted towards this other aspect
Again,
of like...
Dark Ages is completely different from the first two games.
Yeah, they're all three really different from each other. And I agree that it was the right approach that they took with the Dark Ages. And
because the reason being is because it's kind of a medieval future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it made sense after you kind of play it why things feel heavier.
Yeah.
Because your character feels heavy.
Yes.
He doesn't feel light and agile. He doesn't feel medium speed. He feels like he's got the burden of the universe on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. Every time he jumps off of a cliff and lands, everything just feels... the weapons feel heavy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the weapons are fucking massive compared to Doom Eternal as well. Like, all of the weapons, like I think about like the plasma gun, and it's literally got like the 2 fucking points, and that's how it shoots, and it shoots a sporadic thing. Like,
it's
that
like
thing,
2 of them together.
That thing is like literally as big as his torso, you know, and he's just running around with the shield and that, you know.
Right. Holding in one hand.
Because he's fucking... Who cares? He's a Doom guy.
I do like the shield mechanics in that game.
That is the one thing I think that saves the game for me was the shield combat was really, really fun. You know, Captain America, throwing the shield and having it stuck into a demon and it's chainsawing them and shit, and like
and counter blocking people.
Yeah, it was very fun and it was very enjoyable.
The boss fights and the
they really, really honed in the boss fights in that game for sure.
The boss fights were a lot better in Doom Dark Ages, I thought. I don't remember all the boss fights, but they all carried the same kind of style where it was counterattack, shoot, counterattack, big event, but it was done a lot better than the other two games.
The only we'll go into the sections that I didn't like here because it's kind of prudent. Is the only sections I don't like is the riding the dragon and then the mech parts. I didn't like them.
It was cool, but it was clunky.
Yeah. That's kind of the biggest problem.
It felt broken, and it felt like it was an add-on rather than like when you're in the eyes of the Doomslayer and you're playing like as him. It felt good. Right. It felt smooth. It felt fun. It was engaging. The two other kind of side mission-y things like that, like the flying the dragon felt cumbersome and weird. Yeah. And then the same thing with the robot. It felt kind of claustrophobic in the helmet. And then it was like you only had 2 or 3 moves.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem.
And I didn't
with
like that. And you didn't feel agile at all. I mean, I don't know. I know it's a huge mech. I mean,
it's really cool, and I appreciate that they gave it an effort. I just feel like they kind of left it at the bare minimum for what they could be. Like they didn't really flesh it out enough to really give me something to really latch on to.
It felt like it was a mini game in a loading screen.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially just the flying.
Play this for a little bit till we load the rest of the level.
Especially the flying segments. Like it's like this mixture where they're like, oh, this is really important that you have to do this kind of thing, where they were like trying to be like, oh, you got to rush it, but then like it's like you can just take as much time as you want, and then all you're doing really is just flying around and then holding left click and shit like that. It just felt kind of empty in spaces with those segments.
There's a couple scenes, not to get off subject, and I was telling you earlier, I was replaying Darksiders 1 that came out in like 2012 or 14, and it has a couple scenes where you're flying like a creature, like an angel, like flying lion thing, and it felt exactly the same way. I'm playing it; it's very cumbersome, and like I almost died.
They will improve upon it because this is their first iteration of these things.
I felt like you were on rails. That's the only problem I had.
Yeah, especially with the mech. The mech felt like rails because
I felt like the dragon was on rails. Like it was like you had it had open scenes, but it felt like you couldn't really go anywhere. And the mech wasn't like I was on rails. The mech was like, this is your path. Like they just funneled you down until you got to the part where he did something Doomslayer-y cool at the end. Yeah. And then that was it. It was like, but it just felt like, okay, there was no exploration. There was no interactivity with anything around you. It was like, okay, I broke some things that I had to break walking through it, and then kill some enemies. But the actual game, it was more fleshed out. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's a good thing that it was, because if it wasn't, then it would have been a bad game. I mean, other than those segments, like Doom: The Dark Ages combat, I really struggled with it at the beginning because it felt partially like too easy in spaces. Like I did die a bunch in certain segments that I remember, but there was a lot of spots where I was just like, I'm not really being challenged enough to make me crazy enjoy it. Like I had my fun with it. I'm not saying that Dark Ages is a bad game at all, because it's very beautiful. The amount of enemies on screen is awesome. The gunplay is really fun. Like you get a ton of options for killing demons in this game. Yep. I don't think it's more than Doom Eternal. That might be something I'll have to like think about a little bit more. But it's
either, I don't think it's more, but it might be the same, but a little bit less.
A little bit less, yeah.
Because each gun has 2 different versions of itself.
Yeah, and you only get, what is it, like 6 guns? And each of the guns have different parts that kind of vary up. Yeah, it's a total of
12 different features.
Yeah, that vary up.
But they added like the hand-to-hand combat, like the shield.
Yeah.
And you get the mace.
The biggest problem I have with the Dark Ages is that the melee weapons, the only cool melee weapon was the flail. The flail was the coolest fucking weapon because it just felt so fun to use. And it pisses me off because I'm like, where is the sword? Like, the line is, those that tasted the bite of his sword. where is his sword?
It'll be in Revelations, don't worry.
It's not. No, you get the spear in Revelations.
Oh my god! Come
Hey,
on.
it actually looks really cool though. It looks really fun because it's going to have three methods of.
We also
combat
don't know
with
what era that was talking about. I mean, it could have been Dark Ages.
it. Yeah, watch it be in like the second expansion. He gets the fucking crucible or some shit like that, and just like takes him down.
And the cool. I mean, some people didn't like it, but I thought that the cool crossbow BFG was cool.
I did like it. I did like the BF crossbow.
I do like
the BFC.
The weapons felt heavy, and I thought that was cool.
It
like they felt like they were made of like solid like iron and steel, and they were heavy.
Well, the whole game, like you mentioned, feels really heavy. Like everything has a weight to it in terms of just like you like we mentioned, you feel like a fucking tank. Like you're just this crazy giant, like barely giant, but I mean like giant fucking thing with crazy weaponry.
You're just 8 feet tall. I mean, you're pretty tall. It's just the
yeah, but compared to like a Mancubus, like he's literally like small. So
and one of the cool mini little scenes in the levels where you had to take a turret and fight off the big giants. I thought that wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible, and it didn't overstay its welcome.
But it felt just as clunky as the other stuff.
Yes. I feel like the two things that bring it down a lot is really just the dragon and the mech segments, which really sucks because Doom Eternal had that shit like hinted at. You would go down that elevator and you would see the fucking mech being repaired, and you were like, I want to fucking drive that thing, and then now you drive that thing and it's not that cool anymore.
Well, and the other thing that like we've mentioned in Eternal, the actual gameplay of Eternal with the shield and the guns.
Oh, you mean the Dark Ages?
The Dark Ages, yeah. Mm-hmm. What I love about it is you could combo off things. Like you could like shoulder check an enemy and then immediately throw your shield into another enemy. You could do all these cool, crazy, fun combos. But then on those side levels with the dragon, it felt very like you got two things you can do and that's it. Yeah. And you have to go down this path, and it's like, but I could do all these cool things in the levels
right
over here.
Right. Yeah. It had more versatility in the regular gameplay than those ones, and it was really a jarring thing to just be thrown into.
I mean, even the scene in Doom Eternal where you play as the what are the skull guys called? I always forget their names.
The Lost Souls?
No, the guys with the big turrets, the fire missiles at you.
Oh, Revenant.
Yeah, when you get in the mind of
the Revenant,
like even that in that arena where you're fighting other guys, that felt better to me.
That was because of the multiplayer for Doom Eternal, which was battle mode, because they wanted to instead of doing traditional arena style multiplayer, they did the battle mode where it was 2 demons versus 1 Slayer, which by the way was some of the most fun combat I've had with friends in a long time. It was so good, it was so fun.
But that little segue in that game was kind of like a mini version of what they kind of did in Doom Eternal. With you're not the Doom Slayer, you're right. The Doom Slayer in a mech or Doom Slayer on a dragon. And I thought that Revenant scene was a lot more of a fluid fighting section. It didn't feel like, oh, I got to play this scene again.
Right.
Whereas when you got into the dragon, you're like, fuck, the fucking dragon.
You're hitting stuff. As cool as the dragon is, and really fucking awesome design and shit. Like it's really just the gameplay that hampers it down.
It would have been a lot cooler if it was like if you got the dragon and they made just they made, I hate to say this, but they made it more like Warhawk, where it was like a 3D like a one small map
in like the big map
areas.
Around
you had like other objectives to do.
Because the game does that with a lot of the things. They open up the fighting segments to be just like a big map, and then you have 3. Objectives like go kill this higher up, general enemy or whatever.
But it felt like everything was on rails with the dragon.
Yeah,
there was only a couple scenes where you were flying around, kind of 3D-ish and or more open world-ish.
Yeah,
but it was like, but you got to go over here and fight this alien, this hell ship.
Yeah,
and blow up its cannons, and then dive in.
You got to like sit there and like lock onto it, and then like dodge.
Yeah, And it was kind of like, just get me through this crap.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that makes that so bad is that it wasn't allowing you to, well, like we mentioned, being free. Like it was very lock you in, kind of. You got to do this, instead of it being.
When games do that,
because
it almost takes you out of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the biggest problem. But I mean, I commend them for trying to do something.
I will say that my favorite level was the Cthulhu level, though.
The first Cthulhu part level?
Yes, you're going through the water, and I thought it was with just
like the ship and shit, and then you see the old ones.
Yeah, it was a very cool design.
And then you get eaten by the old one, and then you're all in the fucking guts killing demons and shit, and it's just so silly. But No, I think I agree. You were talking about the Cacodemon, right? And they changed a lot of the demon's designs based from this whole other realm that they introduced in this game with the old one's realm. The Cacodemon's design. What do you think about that?
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah,
I like the red ones with the glowing blue eyes. They're my guys.
I didn't hate it, but it wasn't. It was definitely not something that I was like, that's pretty sick.
Some of the designs of the creatures and demons in Doom Eternal were kind of lame. I just didn't like them as much as the two other ones.
You mean Dark Ages?
Yeah, Dark Ages. I keep fucking it up. But
right.
It's because I like Eternal better than Dark Ages, but I still appreciate Dark Ages.
Dark Ages is definitely one of those games that is like the controversial third, only in terms that it's so different to the second one and the first one.
And if anybody doesn't know this, Dark Ages is in the releases, it's the newest one, but in the story arc, it's before the two games that we just talked about.
Yeah, which I can talk about the lore on that, every once in a while. Which I mean,
oh, I know something. The biggest gripe of Doom Dark Ages.
Oh,
yeah. That thing that pissed. Remember when I texted you and I said, "Hey, how do you do glory kills?" And you were like, "They took them out." And I said, "What?" The whole point of Doom was beating an enemy's ass down to where he flashed and you could really murder him.
There is a slight glory kill on some of them. Like you can jump up on top of him and press the same button, and he'll use the chainsaw and saw a demon in half or whatever with it. But like that's the only thing. Yeah, they replaced glory kills because it interrupted combat too much. They replaced glory kills with a glory kick and punch system, where instead of going in, giving your brain some space and ripping apart something and then getting ammo and health back, they made it to where you would just slow down your screen and then a kick or a punch, and then you would get your ammo and your health back, which really pissed me off because I was like, dude, you guys set the bar with glory kills, and then now you're just not doing any more glory kills.
Because it was too hard.
I understand in the game development aspect that it probably really fucked with the player's flow. Think about it in the aspect of how much stuff you're already doing, and then adding on, the glory kills. It would have interrupted the combat.
It would have been better if they just minimized glory kills to medium and heavy bosses. All the grunts and all the little guys. Yeah, have the shield, cut them in half. That's great. But when you get to those enemies that are throwing their lightning, their energy, you're countering with the green energy and hitting them with
the big spider things.
Yeah,
and shit
that should be where you kill them and fuck them up.
Yeah,
because you got kind of a glory kill with some of those guys, like the guys that rode the horses.
Yeah. Because you got to take out their hearts.
Actually, I found out later those were the pinkies. I thought that was stupid too.
The dog things.
Yeah. It was like their redemption arc of the terrible ones in Doom 3. That's what they looked like. It looked like the dogs, ones, and I'm like, dude, you can't kill the pinkies. What are you doing?
It makes me wonder how they evolve into the ones that go into Doom Eternal in 2016.
Don't know.
Because they're so different in the Dark Ages. But the Dark Ages is literally thousands of years before even 2016 starts, so it's a possibility. The one thing I do like about the Dark Ages a lot is the feeling of a war.
Yep.
You're in a battlefield.
Well, it felt medieval.
Yeah. Well, I'm mostly just talking about you would go into the first open segment that has the 3 points, and you come out and there's literally a wave of fucking demons, and there's a bunch of there's a unit of shield guys. There's the fucking arachnotrons. There's the mancubus. And it's just that feels like it's a formation. The only thing I don't like about it is it feels like they don't move enough. You'll go into the combat segment, and sure they'll move around and whatnot, and I understand too that if they made them move around fast, it would have really fucked with the player a lot, because it is a very slower game compared to Doom Eternal. But it definitely feels like when you come into the combat,
you have a shield that moves extremely fast. You can easily counterattack any that locks on. You could easily strafe to one side if the guys are you go yeah, you're dead, and then focus on some more guys, and they could easily have done that. But I just that's a chicken way out, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a tough game to talk about because there's a lot of.
Well, things. I do really enjoy it, but there is a lot of shit where I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah. That's really the biggest problem. Is it's a mixture of things that you're like, oh, that's awesome, and then it's like, oh, that's kind of.
It's 2016 is an 8, Doom Eternal is a 9.5/10, and then Doom Dark Age is a 7. Because it's not better than the 2016, and it's definitely not better than Eternal, but it's still good.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think I was also.
There's a lot of good games that are, in my opinion, that are 7s. It's just
everybody also has that idea that like 7s is a bad game. When it's just above average.
4 is a bad game.
Right.
And at a scale of opinions.
Because I mean, like you play like fucking Ghost Recon Wildlands, right? Like that's a very 7 out of 10 game, but it's fun. You have an enjoyment with it.
Predator Hunting Grounds.
Predator Hunting Grounds.
That's a 6.5 to 8.5.
100%. And you have your fun with it. Goof around with your buddies. Fucking be stupid. Which
come on.
We haven't done it in a little while, but yeah. I mean, Doom the Dark Ages is.
It's the most inconsistent out of the two, for sure.
Of course. And I remember when I was watching the trailer, I already kind of had this thing in my brain. I was like, I don't feel like that's going to be great, but it does look cool.
Right.
Like everything in the game looks cool. Looks cool. Like we said, the shield and the guns, the feelings of everything. It
just
looks
wasn't.
Cool.
It just wasn't. It was inconsistent. Oh, World War II.
Oh my god. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and cap off this episode with the last part of this here. So I wanted to talk a little bit on the narratives of the game and kind of go over it as a whole with 2016, Doom Eternal, and then Dark Ages.
You're more tuned up on it than I am.
Yeah. So Doom the Dark Ages is a prequel to 2016. So the actual timeline goes Doom 1, Doom 2, and then Doom 64. 64 being for the Nintendo 64. Where in Doom 1, it's the invasion on Mars, and then Doom 2, it's the invasion on Earth, and then after Doom 2, Doom Guy locks himself in Hell to eternally battle the demons in Hell, and that's what Doom 64 is. So right after Doom 64, what ends up happening is Doom Guy gets teleported to what's a planet called Argent Denur, which houses the Night Sentinels, which is another faction that is basically run by the Unmakers, or the Makers, the Heaven people, to create order in their like universe, right? And so he basically gets teleported to this planet, and all of these dudes are literally looking at this guy, and they're like, this guy is just yelling blood and guts. What the fuck is wrong with this dude? And they know he's a human, but he survived in Hell for eons at this point, just killing everything in sight. I don't know how he had managed to do that, but he fucking did it.
Right.
And so they took him, and they're like, all right, well, put him in prison. So they put him in prison, and then they sent him into the gladiatorial pits. And they took the gladiatorial pits, and he demolished everything. He was just unstoppable. Just this human man that kills fucking everything. So he kills everything, and then the Night Sentinels, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Put him on the front lines. And that's what Doom the Dark Ages is. You're literally playing Doom Guy, who's not been altered with godlike powers yet, but has this unbelievable just strength to him, being controlled by the Makers to do their will, to kill demons and shit like that. So then it goes through the whole tale of the Doom the Dark Ages. You fight fucking whatever his name is, Azarak or some shit. I think his name is, or whatever.
It's Azarak.
Yeah, and then after that, the Seraphim, who we know as Samuel Hayden, like we mentioned before, puts him into a tomb. Or sorry, no, this is way before that. He takes him to this room that infuses him with the Father's energy, which the Father is basically God. So he gets demigod powers. They gave the most dangerous person in the universe godlike powers to specifically battle the demons.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a great plan. And then they sent him off. And then he went and fought the demons. The demons were so scared of this guy that they only had one option, and it was to put his ass to sleep and then stuff him into fucking chunks of rock. So then Samuel Hayden, after being the Seraphim, turns into the robot Samuel Hayden, creates the UAC or helps create the UAC Corporation, runs it, and tries to build a facility on Mars to harvest Argent energy in Hell. They find, after mining a bunch, the Doomslayer sarcophagus, and thus kicks off Doom 2016. He's been asleep for a while, he's killed a bunch of demons, and now he's awake, and there's a new demonic invasion in progress. He kills every fucking thing, pisses off Samuel Hayden because he breaks everything trying to kill all these demons, takes Vega, and then Samuel Hayden takes the Crucible, which is the key to opening more portals of Hell. and then basically just runs off and's like, I'm not the villain in this story. You're just a dumbass and you broke everything. Now I got to rebuild it, so fuck you. And then he leaves. And then kicks off Doom Eternal after a few years. Another invasion on Earth happens. They destroy 82% of the population. Doom guy's sitting up in his fucking Doom Fortress, kicking off, playing video games, collecting action figures and whatnot, until he gets activated and he goes and fucking wages war against the demons. Then proceeds to kill off the 3 Hell Priests so that the demonic invasion can slow down, and then he moves over towards the... he first goes towards the more stuff in Hell, which is based inside of Mars, where he kills this big brain that's a guardian to the Argent Energy Process Facility, where then he gets taken up to Urdak, which is heaven in this instance, and then kills the main angel, I guess we'll call her, because I don't actually know if she's she's not God, but she's a big angel general lady. Kills her.
Con Maker, right?
Yeah, that's the Con Maker. In the process, the Con Maker resurrects the Icon of Sin. For anybody that doesn't know, Icon of Sin is the big bad in Doom 2. He was a wall, and you shot a wall, and that's how you killed him. In this game, he's an actual big beast. She resurrects the Icon of Sin, who, in lore reasons, is the son of one of the Night Sentinels. I can't remember his name right now. It starts with a B. And he literally did a Yoda to himself. He exiled himself into hell for all eternity because his son turned into an evil entity known as the Icon of Sin, which is like the biggest evil you can imagine there. And then Doom Guy is tasked to kill him, and he kills him, and then he walks off screen. And then it goes to the DLCs, which is the very end of the whole Doom franchise. So, yeah, there you go. There's the narrative rundown.
Now you ruin it for everybody.
In a few minutes. It's been out for a long time.
I know. I just want to talk shit.
Yeah, I know you do.
All right, well, that was our special episode, huh?
Special episode, Doom. I vented my passion.
This is also an hour and 50-minute therapy session for Kayman, so
probably, yeah.
You're welcome. I'll charge you later.
But yeah, Doom is important. Not only to me, but to the gaming to the gaming market. It's good.
I agree. I think it was the first, real popular first-person shooter to make its mark, and it's just a staple.
I can really only think of Titanfall 2 that had as big as a push for campaign and multiplayer that Doom did. Because Doom 2016 was really revered for its campaign. Same thing with Titanfall. But Titanfall also had its multiplayer stuff that everybody loved.
Well, the original Titanfall was multiplayer only, which is stupid.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about Titanfall 2.
Oh, I'm just saying it was just it should have had a campaign anyways, but it don't matter. So, that's our special episode.
Special episode of Doom. We'll have more.
All right, guys. See you next week for the episode 11.
Yes.
Check us out on Instagram. Speakeasy Podcast, PK.
Good plug. And then also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Speakeasy Podcast with Kayman and Bill, with Bill and Kayman. Speakeasy, one word. Grow that subscriptions up so that we can do some more fun stuff. And share it with your friends. If you think somebody's going to like our content and would love to listen to us, please share it.
And share comments, because we always want to improve ourselves.
Please put comments in YouTube comments and Spotify,
Follow us
Apple.
on Instagram. That's where I check all the stuff.
Yeah, if you want to get direct access to one of us, which is probably Bill, do comment on the Instagram and ask us questions and give us feedback, because we only want to improve on our show.
All right. Well, good night, guys.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
Peace.